For players who are absent, we will wait 15 minutes, then we will start assigning penalty points. So teams, keep to your seats, please. Good luck, everybody.
Okay, welcome. We have Germany versus Greece this afternoon. Kimon playing for Germany and Giannis playing for Greece. Giannis with the white checkers, Kimon with the blue checkers. We're in the first game of an 11-point match. And we're just looking at, let me just get up to terms with what is going on. Okay, white has a clear early advantage here. That will equalize things somewhat. So 1-1 for blue. He's actually on the bar, not noticed that he has to bring a checker in. So he's going to bring a checker in, make the 5-point, and split at the back. Okay, does Giannis have a cube? We didn't think about it for very long. Certainly worth considering. 6-3, he can either run away and do this, or he could have made the 10-point, but this seems reasonable. Now blue will need to make the 3-point anchor, which will keep him in the game for a long time, and I imagine that the other 2 twos will be played by starting his 4 points. So I'll just wait to see. Again, white has an advantage here, but blue has long-term 3-point game, so the position is not very volatile. We don't expect the cube to move yet. White has only a 2-point home board. Okay, 5-3. So this is clear. Making the 10-point. Both sides now maneuvering for position. White would love to make his 4-point or his bar point. Get those spare checkers on the 6-point, the 8-point into play. Okay, now again, it's still, Giannis is thinking about a double here, but it's not unreasonable. But as I said before, this is a very static position. The advantage will only change quickly. Yes, if you roll 2-2, 1-1, maybe 4-4, you would have a very strong position, but blue has a strong home board. This is the first game of the match, though, so he could try and test him out. 5-2 is a bit of an awkward roll. Okay, nothing much happened there. Now, Kimon will make his 3-point, so he strengthens his home board. Certainly I wouldn't be doubling this as white. I should have done an introduction. My name's Chris Bray. I've been writing and playing backgammon for 40 years. Most recently I did some of the commentary at Cyprus. I'm very pleased to be invited to do some of the commentary here for Montenegro. I'm also currently recovering from a back operation, which is why I'm not in Montenegro. So here we go, 5-3. Time to clear the 10-point. Sorry, the midpoint. At some point, Kimon will have to make a decision about taking out that checker on the 23 point. Now he's doubling, so time to think. Oh, he didn't think. Didn't obey Moshe's rule. Moshe's rule is always to wait at least 12 seconds when you're thinking of taking a cue before you actually make the decision. So neither player there seemed to take necessary time. White's structure is very ugly. So his chances of leaving a shot here are quite high. Some of his fours don't play that well. 2-1 is a great roll. Now he has his double. Now at some point, Kimon will have to decide whether to come up with that rear checker from the 23 point. So the 4 is going to come in. Right. So for the time being, because some of these 6s by White are awkward, so 3 and 4. His structure is getting better, but 2 strip points in the outfield. They're playing very quickly, so I would have looked at keeping that checker on the 22 point to have a virtual 2-3 back game. Now, White has plenty of space behind Blue's anchor to actually dump checkers. So some of the 6s that would have left a shot now don't. Double 2 is a great roll. So he might as well peel one off. Leave himself, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's odd on the high point at the moment. This looks correct. Okay, small gammon chance for White. Small winning chance for Blue. He just needs to make sure that he's not going to get a shot next time, so he needs to utilize the pips to the full. 6 here now, he should take 2 off to increase the gammon chance. He's left himself odd on the high point for some reason. So that was a slightly strange play from Giannis. 4 and 1. Okay, now he's even on the high point again. No dangerous rolls next time. 4-2. Coming in and out. 5 and 4. White should just rip checkers off here because he'll have lots of checkers off by the time he leaves a shot, if he ever does leave a shot. Similarly, Blue can wait for a little while yet. Now, here's a key question. Do you point at him with the double 2? Pointing on the double 2 will win more gammons, but will leave the risk of exposing a shot later on. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Quick look. Still thinking about it, which is very wise. He's now taking the time to think about it. He might just win enough gammons to justify here. Blue has 2 outfield checkers remaining. This is where you need XG with someone operating it next to you. The play, I think, will be relatively close. That really doesn't look right. If he's going to do this, then he probably should play the other 2 checkers from the 6 point. It only leaves 6-4 and 5-4 as bad numbers. So he gains significantly, obviously, when Blue fans with a large number. And again, with small doubles, always worth taking the time to say how quickly you should play. This leaves 6-3 as a bad number. Okay, so Blue is going to have to go pretty soon. 6-3 is the only bad number here. Well, he could be ambitious and take 3 off, play 5-1, but he's not going to win that many gammons. So I would actually just play this safe now and lock up the win. I'd play 6-2 too. He's going for it, potentially. This leaves a lot of bad numbers. but equally well he just does gain occasionally. So now I think blue should stay. So I should play 4 and slot the ace point. Right. So I think that Giannis was pushing it a bit on his last roll. So, and again, he's slowed down his bear off because of his last roll. Now blue should go, because basically, yes, he'll get a shot occasionally and he will hit it, but now he won't have a home board to contain the blot. So he should not risk losing a gammon by holding out for a very improbable sequence of events. So I believe that correct here is just to run away and concede the single game. And I'm trying to run XG as a sideline while I'm commentating, so occasionally I will be able to refer to XG and give you the computer answer, but it's difficult doing commentary and running XG at the same time. Yeah, so this is correct. Okay, so first blood to Greece, this international tournament. 2-0 to Giannis, 2-0 to 11. Won't influence the doubling and taking decisions too much yet, unless we get a 4 cube. So beware of high cubes in short matches, because the doubling windows change significantly from the money game. So the initial doubles will be close to being for money, but even a 2-0 score can affect your decisions. So 6-3, out and down, standard opening play. What can Kimon do? 4-3, the standard response here is to split the 3 from the back and come down with a 4. Hitting on the ace point is a desperation play not required. 2 and 3, so he's going to hit with the 2 and make the 10 point with the 3. So a nice, good start for white in the early game. 3-6 is ugly, so the 3 is down. I would play 13-7 with the 6. It's 6. White already has a good 6, so he might as well do something constructive with the 6. It leaves him more checkers to potentially make an anchor. This is nowhere near a double, particularly leading 2-0. Mind you, having said that, double 4 is an impressive roll. So the first 2 are clear, and it looks like he will make, he can make the outside point or he can make the inside point. So making the inside point leads to more immediate cube turns. So again, now he will come in with a 5 on the 20 point and make the anchor with the ace. He'll make his bar point. Oh, sorry, missed the play. I beg your pardon. I completely missed that. This must be better than allowing white his whole roll. So the blue's position is not great. But this is better, I think, than making the passive play, where he basically has no anchor, and white would potentially have a very strong double. Now, he may still have a double after this play. So white should think for a moment here. Okay, doesn't think, so he's going to hit, come in. There are a lot of potentially market-losing rolls. Whenever he comes in, hits, and blue fans, then white has a strong position. And again, the 2 is pretty dreadful. So it's now got 2s, 4s, 1s, 3s, 5s to hit. So in terms of evaluating this position, white is ahead in race, threat, and position. This is probably a better play because it doesn't allow white to make the 5 point with a hit, which is exactly what would have happened. So 5 and 1. So he can hit on a bar point. He can hit on either bar point in this position. I think the correct move here is 16 to 11, hit on his own bar point. If you have the opportunity to attack, you should attack and bring the checkers into play to make the inside point. And if he fans, he's got a cube anyway, but I think that, here we go again. So this was the issue with doing what he did, is that he's allowed blue to make a defensive anchor. Now white is going to take some considerable time to get to a double. Having said that, that 5-1 was a very, very strong roll, but now blue really needs a number here. So the 6, he's going to hit twice here because he basically needs to take advantage of the fact that white has 4 blots. Any other 5 would be ludicrous, so that's fine. And again, white should give pause for thought here, which he just is not doing. He's playing very quickly. Again, there's a lot of gammons for white here. So, 6 and 1. Blue's position is getting uglier and uglier, and white must really take the time to think about whether he should be doubling or not. So I don't think he should give up the defensive bar point. He's already got a blot inboard. The lesser of all the evils is probably to make the 2 point, but white then will still potentially, I mean, does white think he's too good? I would be doubling here. It's going to take blue a very long time to get any sort of position where he could potentially win the game. So now he should come up with the 2 and not save it. Yeah. Now maybe white thinks he's too strong and is playing on for a potential gammon. This is a bit of a non-roll. The 6 is clear. Now the 3, I would come in with the 3 playing 8 to 5 because then in order to hit the blot that white leaves on his 16 point, blue would have to give up his midpoint anchor. Here he allows him a free 5 and really doesn't get the right structure anyway. Okay, 4 and 2. So the 4 is very clear. Probably the 2 he should come up. That limits his gammon losses. Very clear, double 5, very nice roll. And blue should just try to build points so these 2 come down. Again, he's got only 10 checkers to build his home board. This is ugly, double 2. Now he can switch points here. At some point, he's got to get that check on the ace point out of his hair. So it doesn't seem unreasonable to do this. Try and make the ace point. If he comes down here, some of his 5s next time are going to be ugly and blue will have built a better board. So 2 makes the point. Oop, hang on. That looks like an illegal play. It's 3-2, yeah. So he should. The question is, I would not come up with the 2 now. He's way, way, way behind in the race. So this looks the correct play. Now, because of his previous play, some of White's 5s are going to be pretty ugly. Is that 4-1? So that preceding play of double 5, he's now paying the penalty for potentially not hitting blue on the ace point. 4-1. Wow. He's very limited in what he can do because of the ace. So from a very dominant position, White has managed to partially self-destruct here. So the only question for you could hit loose, call a banana split play. This is play comes off. Now that was a tremendous result. Now obviously White is playing on for a gammon. Unless of course he rolls double 1. He's the master of the accidentally bad roll. Okay, but he's cleared an awkward point. Think positively. 6 and 3, just run away. And basically doesn't want to leave White pick and passes, and he has to move something. So his intent is to build his 5 point and then his 3 point. 1, 2, 3, and 1 for luck. Yeah. This is White and the cube is still in the middle. You realise that you've missed a double somewhere. And there were a lot of potential positions way back in this game, which they played incredibly quickly for White to have doubled, in which case he'd be winning 4 points and not 2. So that's a big difference. Kit Woolsey said years ago that he finally learnt to become a good player when he employed Woolsey's rule, which is basically to say that if you don't know whether your opponent should double or take, then you should double and give him the decision to make and the opportunity to make a mistake. Yes, blue may well have passed, but you never know when that player is actually going to make a mistake. Now blue is racing to get off the gammon, and White's bear off is quite slow, so blue needs 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11 crossover. White needs 14, so blue's probably just about a marginal favourite, save the gammon here. So he just needs to use his pips optimally. So blue will escape one of his rear checkers. Oh, a shot. A shot has rung out. Okay, any 2 makes the game really interesting. And he's hit the 2. Okay, so now think about 6. Wants double coverage for any escaping checker. Stays out. So, brilliant roll, 2-1. Now, if he can make the 3 point, then basically he's going to have a redouble, which White is going to find difficult to take. Now, so XG normally plays this sort of move, which gives him triple coverage on anything like 3, 6, 1, 6, 1, 5. Again, they're playing very quickly here. So I think you make the point here. Yeah. This must be right. So now White desperately needs a 6, or blue, particularly trailing 0-2, is going to be thinking about a cube. At least he should be thinking about a cube. Let's hope he doesn't think about a cube. Okay, now I should come in here so he doesn't get double hit with 1, 6. Again, it may not be right to double, but you've got to give yourself the time to think. Now 1, 2, and now he really has to stop and think, because this looks like a redouble, particularly at the score. I'm just trying to quickly put this into XG. Okay, this is a huge redouble and a massive pass. Sorry, hang on, let me just change that. So apologies, so I had one of the positions wrong. So this is a double because of the score. So for money, because the fours are duplicated to hit and white already has 5 checkers off, this would not be a double. But I believe that the score is sufficient to make this a redouble. And again, use Wolsey's rule, put the pressure on. Here it comes. That's an excellent redouble and a perfectly correct take. So in with the 6, hit with the 3. Three, 6. Okay, so now you should slot the bar point with the 6 because he wants the. Actually, you can come in with the. So you can come to the 4 point. Or he can provide a lot of outfield coverage. So XG tends to like outfield coverage in these positions. So you'll probably play 19 to 10. So moving the checker from the whiteboard. That's the 3. So he gets lots of covers for the outfield just in case of 1-6. And he has lots of combination numbers that actually make the ace point as well. It's a part of the theory of the game that has changed considerably. So I think in the old days, people would have slotted the bar there, but I think this is actually the correct play with 19 to 10. Okay, so now he's got 4s, not 8s. So 6-2. Now he is slotting the bar. Could potentially have come to the 4 point. Probably 6. Now banana split time. So I can hit with 2 to 1, or come in with 7 to 6. So this way he gets the opportunity to pick up the checker. So that play has worked well. He'd been hitting the outfield with the other play. So that's the 3 making the point. And he should probably advance the rearmost checker. He wants to make the bar. You can see how much play white has got out of this position, despite white having the blue having a 5 point board. So now he's got the lock. So he can leave that, so now blue gets the opportunity, obviously, to pick up the checker on white's 4 point. And if he does that, then he's a massive favourite. So he should come in the 3. But he shouldn't. Now he doesn't need to make any fancy plays, and white will probably pick up the checker on the 4 point, which he does. Right, so now it'd be very difficult for blue to pick up a second checker. So white is approximately 25% to win from this position. So this is a known position, provided that blue gets his closeout. So we'll continue to watch as they dance around for a while. But again, I would always take care when running these positions. You need to make sure that your big doubles play well, and in particular, you need to make sure that double 4 doesn't particularly damage your position. because occasionally blue will not get his closeout. Well, he has now achieved that with a 6-5. You could try and play this purely so that he uses the 5 from the 6 point, but doesn't actually close out, because he'd like a better placement for the spare checker on the 4 point, which is exactly what he's trying to do. So he'd like to make it with a 3 rather than a 1, so that he can have his other spare checkers on the high point. There's the 3, and he will cross the 5. Okay, he's going to give it one more roll. These positions occasionally self-destruct, but now he's really going to. So now he's got an optimal bear-off position. So blue is 75% to win here. He doesn't need to worry about safety of the number of checkers. So this would be 6, and probably play 5-4 here. Yeah. Okay. So if you still held the cube, this would be a redouble and a pass. Now, white needs a 6 to make the game interesting. No, so now blue is a very strong favourite. He's an even bigger favourite now, 1-2. And now he can play safe. He should just play 4-2 with the other one. You don't take 2 more checkers off here. He's a big, big favourite now. So he's got 3 checkers off to white's 5. White will take on average 3 rolls to get home. Meanwhile, blue will have taken off 6 more checkers. So barring a large double from white, blue is going to win this position. If blue takes 2 checkers off the ace point, then there are a few weird and wonderful scenarios where white enters with a 1 and then blue leaves the shot. And in any event, if he takes 2 more checkers off, then he's got an empty point and his 1s will play badly anyway. So the correct play is just 4-2. So hopefully he will work that out. Okay, he seems to think that that's the correct play. Okay, so he would have stayed out anyway. Now there's some funny numbers. That's not one of them. Whoa, 5-5. That makes it interesting. White still has 10 checkers to blue 7. He desperately needs not to roll a 4-1 or 3-1 or 4-2. So basically, white can't afford to miss in this position, because he has an even number of checkers. And if he only takes 1 checker off, 5-3 is a great roll. Now that 1 is important. Now the fact that white is leading correctly doesn't. This is no double. This is a huge no double because he's already leading 2-0. If he redoubles to 8, then blue will redouble to 16 on the next roll. If the cube was in the center, this would just be a small double, based on the fact that obviously blue can roll an immediate 2 and miss, and also roll 2 successive 1s and miss. But white has 8 checkers, blue has 6. So white should not be putting the match on the line at this point by redoubling to 4. This is what I said earlier. When you have the cube on 4, even in a short match, and the doubling decisions change radically, you should wait and use the cube more effectively later. The question is, will he do the necessary calculations? So while we're sitting here, I've just put this into XG, and that confirms what I've just said. For money, this would be a small double with the cube in the center for white, but at this match score, it would be a triple blunder to redouble to 8, because he puts the match on the line. I don't know whether the opponent factor comes into it here because I don't know the players well enough, but if you're assuming equal skills, then this really is no redouble. But the question is there a big skill disparity between the two? If there was a huge disparity between the two, then I could see some justification for turning the cube to 8. But it would have to be a very, very big disparity, given the fact that it's a double blunder to redouble here. At least he's taken the time to think about it. He's got plenty of time on the clock. So if I was sitting there thinking about this, I'd be thinking very much about the match score influence on the doubling decision. So he's picked up the dice. Is he going to roll them? Because now if he rolls and his opponent rolls a 2, so 6 and 4. Okay, now let's see. Any 2, that is a 2, that's horrendous. Now we've got a much more interesting decision. So if he drops, he'll be 6-0 down. And he's dropped. Okay. So demonstration of how to use the cube correctly in a match play situation. So the power of the cube is immense, and using it at the right time, which is exactly what Giannis did there, is a terrific demonstration of cube handling in a match score situation. I apologize for any background noise you can hear. There's a man demolishing a tree outside my study window. Okay. 1, 2. So obviously now Kimon can be very aggressive with the cube. At 0-6 down, you don't need much excuse to cube, but you shouldn't be giving points away, and he should be steering for positions that are gammonish, obviously, because he wants to spin the cube to 2 and make it a difficult decision for Giannis. So here's 6-4. This looks like it's just got to make the 2-point. Okay. I'm not sure about that. But he does basically promote an exchange of hits while he's got a stronger board. So, and again, Giannis playing this correctly. So he wants to play solidly. He wants non-gammonish positions. So now the 6 is awkward. He'll probably slot the 3-point. I just play with a 1 blot here and slot the 3-point. Okay, runs away. Okay, good 3, good 4. Right. Now this is precisely the sort of position that blue was trying to engineer. 1 and now 2 to play. This is ugly. Okay. Now I think that given the match score, we're going to see the cube come over here. We're not. Fine. So he's going to make the 5 point with his 5-4. Oh, he's rolling very well. 6-5, clearing the point. I mean, his structure is horrible. So blue has to split at the back to put some pressure on white's outfield. May as well pick up the 5. Making the 3 point would have been wrong because it would have given white complete freedom to play in the outer boards. 6 and 4. There's basically only one reasonably safe play, which is to bring 2 men to the bar point, which he does. Now again, we need to have a quick look at the race, but we're not going to get the time to do that. Well, all right, so blue is, let's just do a quick count while we can. White certainly isn't going to be cubing this. 5 and 3. And again, it's ugly. So he can make the 3 point, leaving 7s and 10s, which is 8 shots. He can come 2 down, which leaves 9s and 10s. Ideally, he'd like to. Ooh, you can do this, but that would be 36 and 28, 64, 96. His white's count after the roll is 109. Blue's count is 87. So I think whatever white plays, blue should be doubling, because he will have a number of indirect shots plus the race, and however white plays this, if he gets hit, it's a very gammonish for white. Still thinking about it. Cool. So should slot the point. Yeah. So again, white has no double here. 3-1 is a terrific roll. Blue needs to step up. So the question is, how far does he step? Might as well go all the way because he's winning the race marginally. So he's got to get out. So I think escaping there is more important than making the ace point. That's 6. He would not have been pointed on and he would have escaped. Whoa, and now we see a double, leading 6-0 and doubling. Wow, let's have a look at this. You need to evaluate the race. Then you need to look at how likely blue is to escape. been taken very quickly. So now if he's going to do this, he has to take some risks. So he has to play the 3 down and play 6 to 5. Okay, now any 2, admittedly, okay. So if white can make his 4 point, which he can't, so 3, no, he can make, sorry, apologies, didn't see that. He can make the point on his head. Oh, let's call 1 pimple from paradise. He needed a 4-6, not a 5-6. 5-3, so the 5 is going to come in. Does he leave double 4? These are the sort of decisions that players agonize over for some time. It's normally correct not to leave anything at all against a perfect board. He's thinking about it. You also need to look at the race. So blue's count is 48, 50, 75. Which is identical to white's count, which is also 75. So he now has 3 builders to make the 4 point. 4-5, now it's going to be close, and the cube may well come back at a point in time. 5 and 4. Okay. Now blue should at least stop, do a count, and think about the potential redoubling position. He's not going to do it now, because he's not ahead. He's 46, 48, 64, plays 68, actually, 4 pips ahead, but he's only got 2 crossovers to do. White also has some inefficiency because of the spare checker on his 2 and 3 point. Blue has 1 inefficient checker, the spare checker on his 2 point. But if blue loses this game, he will be 8-0 down, with chances obviously in the 6-7% range. So he's going to be very quick to redouble when he gets the opportunity. So first off, oh, double 4. 1, 2, 3, and probably 5 to 1. Plays 6 to 2. I'd want 2 checkers there on the ace point. Okay, blue's got a smooth bear off. Double 4 again. Okay. Blue could do with a little bit of luck, which he singularly has not yet had in this match. Okay, not double 4, but 4-3. Another 4-3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 11 checkers plays 8, but obviously blue's checkers are very badly placed, and he's going to be missing with 4s immediately and then other numbers later on. This can't possibly be a recube. He needs to hold the cube, and if he gets the opportunity, use it at a point when white has got a difficult decision. 6 is good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 now. 5 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So for money, this would be a ludicrous redouble, but 1, 2, 3, and now, unless white rolls a double, blue is going to win the game. Three and 2. Okay, now this must be a redouble in the pass. Yeah. So here comes the cube. There's a few scenarios where blue loses here, but so it's not going to happen very often. Even 4-3, yeah. So partially premature double in the first instance by white, given the fact that he was already leading 6-0. Seemed to take no account of the match score when doubling. He didn't think it through that deeply, I don't think, but maybe he plays that way. I don't know. So he's played quite quickly, has made his doubling decisions very quickly. And in fact, the players have not used a huge amount of time yet. So now the match becomes more interesting at 6-2 rather than being 8-0 or even over. 6-3 standard hit on the 4-point. Makes the point. Yeah. Okay, 4. It looks like he should come in on the 4-point, put pressure on the outfield, and then drop the 2 down to unset the heavy checkers. I'm not calling these correctly, am I? 2-1. And again, he's leading in the race here and leading in the match, which implies that he should do what he's just done, which is to make the bar point. Good number. So he's going to make the 5-point, he's going to make the 9-point with 2 more, and for want of anything else to do, he's going to play 6-2. Yeah. So Blue's position has improved considerably with that roll. This is no excitement, 6-5. Now the players are sort of jockeying for position, but I suspect now that the back checker should come out, because if White were to hit it with a 4, he has to give up his midpoint to do it. Blue does not want to make his 2-point this early. So he could make the bar point, but again, then you separate the armies. So I'd give serious consideration to making the bar point, which is what he has done. So it's a nice prime. 6-2. Now he has the decision as to whether to run away, which he's done. He's obviously ahead in the race, so this seems highly logical. So again, Blue doesn't mind going into a back game from this position. He could come down and make the 2-point, but that gives White his whole roll to play. And I don't think he wants to be giving White the opportunity to use a full roll here. He could hit loose, but that again just doesn't seem right. So I think the choice is between making the 4-point or playing 13-8 and then 6-2. But then any 6 by White sees him escape. Whereas if he points and he gets hit, then Blue has the opportunity to fall into some sort of back game. So this looks to be the correct play. Still thinking about it. This just doesn't look right, because now you've made your 2-point too early for any future game that involves a lot of hitting. Your prime is sort of very static. It's hard to see how Blue improves from here. Okay, so we're going back to the original. That doesn't look like the original start position somehow. I think they've got that wrong. Okay, so it's decided to make the more static play. Now he's going to probably have to attack anyway, so let's see what he can produce. Double 5 is a very good roll. So that worked out well. Make the 3-point here, and if White fans, then I'm doubling. In fact, White needs a very good roll to continue. Ooh, that is a very, very good roll. 5-3. And this is a very ugly roll. So he's going to have to come out with 2. Then the question is, do you play 7-3 or 6-2? of the last 4. Again, this looks right. Essentially, he still wants to make his 5 points, so he gives himself some flexibility. That's a bit of a mess. So he's going to have to make the 3 point because he can't safety the checker on the 17 point. So he's got 7s to hit. What's the race? 253, 78, 96, 103, 111, 124 for blue. 116 for white. Oh, I missed what the dice roll was, but it was very good because it hit. 4-3, and now blue can cash. Yeah, so this is a huge drop, particularly given the score, because white loses far too many gammons to even think about taking this double. I don't think you'll find him thinking for very long about this one. And he has dropped. So now 6-3. Okay, so looking at the clock time, they had 11 minutes each at the start. They've only used, Giannis has only used 50 seconds of his bank time. And that normally implies someone is not taking long enough. Yes, you can play backgammon quickly, but you can't play it very well very quickly, because demonstrated there are very few people who can actually play as well at this sort of speed that they can when they're actually stopped to think about it. So is that the correct double 2? Certainly coming up part of the way is, but given the fact that he's trailing, he should perhaps consider dropping 2 down from the 13 point. Giannis' play of double 2 is absolutely correct. When you're leading in a position like this, you absolutely want to make your opponent's 5 point, reduces the gammon risk. Now, there's another opportunity with the 2 there. He could have dropped 2 down and leave 2 shots. It gives you a huge number of returns when hit. So this is a classic 5 point holding game. Basic theory says you make points, don't take risks, and wait for a big double. So 3, 4, yeah. So the skill factor in games like this is relatively low because, what I say, the tactic is well known, or the strategy is well known. All you're trying to do is basically wait for a big escaping double, or hope your opponent has to go and leave you a shot. This is the correct false 3, so he could make the 3 point and slot the 2 point, but then he's stripped everywhere. Start the next point. Yeah, no trouble at all. 4-1. Okay, 4 is clear. Is white likely to leave your shot this time? Probably not, in which case this is likely to be the correct ace. Now you've got a hole in your home board, which will be more difficult to fill, so I think this is playing 4-3 is correct. 6-3 just makes the next point, fine. So one of them's going to run out of time. Oh, double 6. That's probably potentially a game winner. 55, 69, 93, 97, 101, 103. It should probably make the 2 point here. Certainly doesn't want to give up the midpoint. That's too early to give up the midpoint, I think, unless I don't think he's winning the race, so it can't be right. So 16, 93, 96. Blue's count is 102. He's 17 pips ahead, so he should have doubled. Clear double, a take easily for money, a bit harder at this score, but now he's lost his market, which is criminal. So instead of winning 1 point, 2 points, he's going to win 1 point. So again, didn't count, didn't think. You have to take your time at backgammon. It is just such a difficult game. And you need to use your time at the right moment. So, as I said, Moshi's rule, take 12 seconds on every cube decision. Doesn't matter how apparently trivial it seems to be, you have to do that, because otherwise you miss things. Double one, great response. Okay, but now the score is 6-4. Then now the match has got really quite interesting. 3-2, should probably split with the 2 and down with 3. It's a close call. I mean, either play is perfectly all right. There's some argument for splitting both back checkers, but again, I think given the fact that he's trailing in the match, you need to unstack that really heavy. So he's playing relatively defensively if he does this. I think you've got to get some of those checkers on the midpoint into play. So I would have split with the 2 and come down with the 3. We won't have time to work out if that was the right answer. Hit and splits, classic backgammon theory. Hit, 3 on. So now we're playing properly. 5-6, that will hit. So blue looking to make an anchor or hit. So here should probably hit. They can hit that way. It's possibly should have hit on the A point there. Now this looks like at this score, again, now you need to sit, think, and work out whether this is a double or not. So white has no anchor. He has a small prime on his side of the board. He's got undeveloped checkers, and he's got 1 on the bar. So 4 points. A gammon here gets into the Crawford game. The race is, he's ahead in the race, he's ahead in threat, and he's ahead in position. So this, to me, looks like an opportunity for a really nice, aggressive cube. Yeah, the score is 4-6. So he doubled and he took. So I've just very quickly put that into XG, and it says it's just a double. And a very easy take, but he did well to double, which is correct. So this was what, double 6, 3-4. So the 4-6 had an opportunity there to actually hit again, but again, maybe he just doesn't quite have enough checkers in the attack zone. So the 4 will be a hit, and I suspect he'll remake the anchor just in case of a double 3 return. So now he has a very strong position. He could play this wide open and play 13-10, bringing down another checker, another attacker. And given that white actually has no defense on his side of the board, his only good roll is double 3. Okay. So now 6 and 3. So 3, I think he's got a hit. You can't give white the opportunity to make that point. And then I suspect he will play, 17-11. Okay, now white desperately needs a 3 to give him any form of game here, which he's done. 3. So blue will keep hitting if he can to put 2 checkers on the bar. 3 and 6. So the 3 comes in. 1 of the checkers is coming out. So you can duplicate 3s. But now the back checkers are not connected. So given the fact that white was on the bar, I think he should probably have brought the other checker out. But again, we don't have time to analyse that. So now you can make the 9 point, blocking the 6s. Yeah. Okay, but white now has got a playable game because he was lucky enough to roll those 2 3s. So he now has a 1-3 back game. So he's obviously not going to run. So white should play 2 down here. He wants to be hit, if possible, to correct his timing. He has a 1-3 game, but the timing is not quite as good as he would like. But equally well, blue needs to escape. So this is going to be the 5, and I suspect the 3 will now come up. So the rear checkers are connected. It also duplicates 5s. So white would be quite happy to stay on the bar here. 5. Think about the 2. He doesn't want the 5 point. He's taking the 5 point. So he's regressed from having the best back game into having potentially the 1-5 back game. So I'm hitting on the 3 point here to take away the chance of him making the 3 point. This is safety play. It doesn't look like a position where he should be playing safely. Okay, so now what's white's plan? So now he can make the 3 point, give himself the 3-5 game. Okay. So with my play, still be on the bar. 5 and 1. Okay. So white can win this by going forwards or by reverting to his 3-5 game. So this is 1, 2, 3. Do this, so you can potentially make the 8 point or the 9 point. 1-5, that's going to be ugly-ish. Okay, so blue's checkers are not where he wants them to be. That's not a great roll. So, yeah. Okay, blue desperately needs to escape that checker. So now you come up 2 and slot the ace point with the 3. This puts the checkers to work. That's probably correct. White should hit if he can, which he can, so he will. 6-1. Okay. So he's going to hit and come up. Yeah. Right, now if he hits an ace, it's going to be fun. 5-5. Well, one of them's coming out purely on a matter of timing. So I would come out, hold the outer point. And you have to accept the fact that blue is likely to escape here. So actually what you want to do is be able to build your board. So the only logical play here is 12-7. So he can use the spare checkers on his 6 and 7 point and the 10 point to make his board in preparation for a later shot. Okay, so the question is, would he hit with the 3 if he rolls it? Well, we're going to find out. You can still win by going forward here because blue will have some funny entering numbers because of all those strip points in his outer board. So the 4 is okay, and he'll make the ace point. Yeah. Now white again he's got this 2-way game plan, which is quite good. 5-2 is a great roll. Thanks, point. Now blue has got some really funny and nasty and unpleasant entering numbers. 4, 1 and 4. Yeah. But now he's hemmed in behind that prime. And next roll, he's going to have to do something. So 1 and 3, yeah. Now, some funny numbers like 6, 5 and stuff like that. 3 is great. The 2 is great, you can come up. But actually, he's got to give himself some spares on the other side of the board. So he's going to have to play 9-7, 9-6. That way, he's got some playability on the other side of the board. This is the only reasonable play in this position. So white can slot the 3 point or make it naturally if that happens. 6-4 makes it naturally. Now blue's in a lot of trouble. Obviously white's not going to redouble this position purely because of the match score. This is the 6-5 of which we spoke earlier, not calamitous, but not great. So again, a money game, this would be probably a very strong redouble and quite likely a pass. He's redoubled. Now, this really is interesting. He's putting the match on the line. So would you drop and go to 8-4 down? Or would you take and put the match on the line? So white still has a lot of work to do to win this position, but black is stripped everywhere. It's a great cube if your opponent drops it. What he should have, I mean, what may not have considered here is that he can play on for the gammon, because he's going to win a great number of gammons here, because blue's position is basically going to self-destruct. But I think, given the match score, blue should take the double. So for money, this would be a ludicrous take. But at this match score, this looks as if blue should take this rather than play from 8-4 down, when he will only have 17% winning chances. Has he got 17% winning chances is the question here. That's the only question he has to ask himself, because gammons will become irrelevant. So he can view this. Can he escape often enough? He's taken, which I believe is the correct decision. He'll recube to 8 on the next roll. Now, 4-2. So you definitely don't want to break the prime. Can't break the prime. So he comes out with the 4 from the front and then thinks about the 2. And I would keep the 3-point anchor as being the rearmost anchor and play 6-4 here. Okay, now while all that was going, this makes his 6s bad. I would keep the rear anchor here. So now he's basically going to hit. He would have picked and passed with the other variation. Oh, sorry, I've just realised that the 4 points doesn't exactly get you to, my error. 4 points doesn't get him to match, so he will hold the cube here. Double 4, not good. So white will now win quite a lot of gammons from here. So he has to think about how he's going to play this. And I think here he can come up from the back and then also then go to the midpoint. So play 22-17, 15-13. I don't think he wants unnecessarily cautious. So obviously he'd like to make the 8-point, but obviously he'd also like to wash. So yeah, 3 and keep going. 1. Duplicates 1s. Oh, keeps rolling the good number. Or no, actually, 1-6 would have been okay, actually. 2-6, magnificent roll. Okay, 3s, 7s, 12s. Not 8s, though. So one tracker may have escaped. This is something you need to think about. He'd ideally like to keep the pressure on the 11-point. 1, 2. And if he plays this, then it takes all the pressure off the outfield. And given the fact he's given away the cube on 4, I'm not wholly convinced by that play. So 6-5. Now, blue is back to having to only escape 1 checker. This looks logical, 4 and 5, except he could have looked at, so, okay, now white has to hit. Ooh, what a good roll. Double five. Okay. 1, 2. Out. And again, the last one's played very quickly. There are some funny entering ones, and I would have kept potentially one checker back to potentially trap another man. But anyway, they're playing at such a pace that it's very hard to analyze in depth. Yeah. White spares neatly distributed. 4, probably should play 6 to 5 here. I think that's correct. Then double 6 leaves a very nice structure. 2 and 4. Yeah. Okay. So there's a small gammon threat at the moment. If blue fans twice more, we can get interested. Once. And a big double from white would make it interesting. Oh, I can tell the future. There you go. Now it's going to be nip and tuck on the gammon. That really doesn't help. Ooh, that's an interesting choice. I suspect he must take one off here because the gammon is close. His losing chances are small and he gets an even number of checkers. So the parlay where he loses this through being hit is very small. So 6, 3 and 6. Okay, so he's wasted 1 pip on the chance of getting a shot after 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 1. 1, 2 off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 checks, 5 crossovers versus 6. So this is going to be close. Any big number from white or small number from blue, and this match is over. Okay, so basically it needs at least 9 pips here. That is not 9 pips. Okay, so it's going to need 1, 2, double 4, double 5, or double 6 on his last roll. No. The match is over. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for listening. I will now sign off.